Now, still in the second part of the smallest amount of hair, smallest amount of unbrushed hair at a time, is we work from the feet and toes towards the nose. Because whenever we do this, we're gonna work on the least amount of unbrushed hair at a time. We finish up this area, we go a little bit further. In case we were trying to start, let's say, on the chest area here, or the sides, let's say the sides is going to be better. We try to work on here. All of the surface here is going to be absolutely unbrushed. There's going to be probably tangles there, even mats from the harness, and it's going to be painful for your doggy. So working on less unbrushed hair at a time will give you that advantage, especially if you combine it with working from the tip of the hair towards the base of the hair. Will give you that advantage that your dog is going to be more comfortable, so they will cooperate more willingly. Ninth part, directions to brush on the dog's body. I like to go with the hair growth for general brushing when there is no craziness going on the doggy, because you do it frequently. So I brush this way as the hair grows on all body parts with that. Whenever it comes to the ears, I go with the hair growth, but since I move the ear up, I'm moving the brush upwards. But in general, I'm going downwards like that, all over, even on the tail. And when it comes to mats, the direction can be anything. When there's a mat here, I open up the coat. Let's see, I open up the coat like that, and then I work on the brush. And whatever direction works, and the mat loosens up faster, I will keep doing that until the mat is loosened up perfectly, so the doggy is going to be comfortable. It doesn't matter, just keep in mind that the direction which you are opening up the mat the fastest. Great. Directions to brush on dog's body part. Critical. It's so important. I like to explain it the way that you are grooming and brushing a robo-doodle. A robo-doodle is a square little thing which has 6 sides, just as a dice. Outer side, inner side, front, back, bottom, and top. Every single body part on your doggy has these features, these sides on, and you really need to make sure that you are taking care of those and the edges. That's the way that you're gonna be able to cover every single inch or square inch on your doodle, so you're gonna be absolutely tangle and mat free. So keep in mind, you are brushing a robo doodle, 6 sides. Awesome, plus edges. Haha, I hope you remembered. Great, so now we can see the workflow. You know all the tips and tricks I do, and here's the workflow. Actually, no. Before the brushing, there is a workflow I like to do on my clients whenever it comes to brushing, but for you, when it still does worth to do these like every 3 weeks or something. But whenever doggies come to me, I always do this to make sure that I do these before the brushing. So what are these surprising, what is the surprising list here? Eye area. I really want to make sure that I can see the doggies' reactions, and I want to see their eyes. So before I would brush, comb, do the haircut, bathe, whatever, I do an eye area trim to make sure that all the fluff is out of the way and we can keep eye contact and I can see whether the doggy is happy or they are in pain or whatnot. Paw hair and paw pad boomerangs. Since I groom my clients 90+% of the time on a table while they are standing or sitting, they need to get a good grip, and in general I just like to take care of the paw hair on the surface of the pads, between the pads and among the pads. I call them paw pad boomerangs, and in between the toes I call them toe mohawks. So I make sure that there are no hair under the paw pad, no toe mohawks, and no paw pad boomerangs present. In case they are there, I trim them out before, because in case you just jump on brushing your doodle in a way that it's just they are there, and you are just brushing, then the pins of the brush will pick up the little mats in between, the toe marks by the base, and your dog will react like, you're not doing anything there, and they're gonna be really, really unhappy. So double checking that they are not there and resolving in case they are by snipping them out. Specific tutorial for this. Don't try it without knowing what you're doing. It's critical. So you're gonna be able to keep your doggy safe without all of those. I like to check for nails. Oftentimes when doggies have long nails and they are having hard time standing for too long because the nail is pressing against the toe and it's not comfy for them, they're not gonna be happy about the brushing. And we think it's because of the brush, but honestly it's because of the too long nails. So I like to trim the nails in case they are too long and touching the ground before the brush and brushing, and then so the doggy will be comfortable. I trim and file, and that's it. I like to do the sanitary trim before, which includes not only the privates, the peepees and the anus area, but also the behind the ear area and the armpits. Why? Because those areas tend to get tangled so much, and since they are so sensitive, there's no way I'm doing any kind of brushing closer to those areas or right in the spot, like behind the ear here or around the armpits. I shave those too, and also the private areas, and whenever there are tight mats around the inner thighs or around the belly area, around the pee-pee for guys, or by the balls area back there, or by the vulva for females, and around the anus, I cut those areas out because there is just no way I would be able to keep friendship scores between us with the client I'm working on and not dealing with those first. So that's a critical part for you to check whether it's needed. And in case you feel brave enough and up to the challenge, you can learn about how to do it yourself, or you can take your doggy to the groomer to take care of that, and maybe even get a brush out if you don't want to do it yourself, or do the brush out at home once you got all of these taken care of with the face, feet, and fanny trim. That's how I like to call the little package covering all of that. So, brushing time after like 45 minutes or whatnot, talking about this. And so what is my workflow? The way I like to go about it is I start on the right side of the doggy. I'm right-handed, and this is just my preference. So I start with the hind leg, and especially in case I'm working on a new client. I like to work on the hind feet because in case they react, and I have an extensive intake form, so I got precautions from honest parents about their doodle's behavior. I always like to leave a little bit more room for the introduction for me to react in case they try to snap at me or react in a way that I was not expecting. There is like almost zero chance that my clients will do that, because by the time we get to talk about the desired trim, I'm gonna be able to tell, because I'm giving so much rubs and check the doggy, I'm gonna be able to tell how the doggy is doing with me. So most of the time it's no chance, but I really like to leave some extra room for me to react in case doggy had a bad experience or whatnot, and he or she would get triggered for some reason. So this is the way that we get used to each other and we go with the flow together. Hind feet, I work on the right side, hind feet. And I start there and I work my way up. I'm gonna put the brush down so my hands will indicate the brush, and I'm gonna move these guys here a little bit. So I'm working on the hind leg and I'm working upwards like that, up on the leg. I want to mention that there is a hole, I call it hoka hole, that the doggies have on the inner and outer side as well. It's about this height, and it's a critical spot because hair is in there and it gets matted so bad because the hair does not get brushed in there. So the thing I do is I grab the skin on the above or below, or in the area, but I twist the skin so the hair from the hole will pop out on the bone area there, and I can brush it. So keep an eye out. That spot gets matted so bad. and I want you to know about it. And I work all around on the hind leg. And while I'm working on this hind leg, I also take care of the inner side of the other leg, all the way up to the privates. And up next, I work from the leg towards the butt area. I cover everything up to the inner middle section, and whenever I'm working there, I'm always keeping the privates safe and behind my hand. So I'm working on this side and everything is on the other side. Let it be a vulva or a set of balls or the leftover of the balls, so the doggy will feel safe and the brush or comb, whatever I'm using, will not get even accidentally there. Awesome, butt area covered. We are going a little bit further, and this area on the sides and side and back. You can do the whole thing, you know, kind of in once on small doggies, but you can also do like this side or that side. I mean, the side and the top after each other. It doesn't really matter. Critical spot, I call this the belly thigh flap, because the hair here is so soft and it folds, and it's very easy to miss this section and end up with a really ugly hole in here because of deep mats. Okie dokie, great. We got that, perfect. And I usually do the belly. I'm just taking a peek at my notes here because I have tiny sections like this hoka hole and belly flap on the info here, and I want you to know every single possible way to find mats and the tricky spots as well, because whenever I'm doing it, it's more like doing, I'm not really thinking about the logic of it, and having these notes helps me huge, so you're gonna know what's in my mind while I'm doing it. So after the belly is covered, usually I do it with holding the leg up, especially for large doggies, and just brushing the area there. And then I put the leg down and I do the front feet. Same thing, brushing it from the front, and make sure that you are stretching the doggy's leg out, because this little corner here gets forgotten and it's very nasty, ugly. Short shave looks very ugly when short shave is needed there because of tight mats. So that's how I like to hold the doggy's leg, stretch it out, and then you can brush the full height of the leg, all sides, every single side. And while I'm doing the front leg, I sneak in the other side of the other leg, the inner side of the other leg, the left one. Awesome. One more thing about the front leg, that's why I really love my little notes here, is the wrist groove. Now the doggies have the same hole on the front as well. I named it wrist groove. I was on doggy forums for veterinarians, groomers, vet techs. No one could tell me how the wrist groove, the hoka hole, and the belly thigh flap is called. So I had to give them a name, because it's like I really have to call them something. So that's what I come up with. And same thing applies on the front, also on the outer and inner sides. You need to pay attention to those little spots. They can be kind of tightly matted. Chest area. I go up from the legs towards the chest area with the brush, and pay specific attention around the harness area, because that has a lot more movement than on the rest of the body, except for when the doggy has a sweet spot around the base of the tail or behind the head, and they get a lot of rubs there. Now those areas can get really matty too because of the sweet spots, but the harness area gets really, really tightly matted in case you're not paying special attention. So depending on your doggy's, the type of your doggy's harness, you follow the lines of it and make sure that you found every tangle and mat. Great. We are going upwards, and the collar area. Another very typical part for the doggies to get really matted under the collar. Some parents do the thing which I really don't like, that they won't take the collar off because they are holding their doggy close by grabbing on it. It's not cool because it means two things. You're gonna miss under it, and the second, it's even more heartbreaking one, is that your doggy is not really liking what you are doing, but you're still forcing him to be there, or her. So take it off, and when your doggy is telling you something you are doing that it's not comfy for them, listen to them and change your behavior and tool or the environment, whatever you translate the behavior to, with the help of these videos here. Awesome. So front legs, wrist group, chest area, harness collar. Perfect. We are up at the muzzle. Excellent. So I'm brushing the muzzle now. I like to keep sensitive spots like the whole head and the tail area the last. Last on one side, and then we leave the tricky spot. Usually we take a break at here, and then I do the other side and we finish with the tail. So that way the doggy will get a break after the tricky spots, and everybody can keep their sanity and the friendship will thrive. In case you need more breaks, by the way, you totally can. I had more clients that I had to take breaks after a few strokes. So you figure out what your doggy needs and then you go with the flow. So I brush the muzzle area, the cheeks, and under the ear, typical area that parents miss, that they are not lifting the ears up and this really thick coat wouldn't get touched. And it really should, because that looks really strange and kind of crazy when the doggy gets a short shave here. And we brush the inner side of the ear, as I showed you, and the outer side of the ear. I put my hands under the ear and I brush it that way to make sure that I'm not scratching the doggy's ear, or eye or whatnot. And we're gonna brush behind the ear. Oh, and around this time, around the muzzle time, I also brush the chin. I like to go from the neck area. Even after the neck area, you can squeeze it in, and I just like to brush it like that. So you can hold the doggy's lower jaws, the side, the edge, or the tip of it, and then you're gonna be able to hold the chin up high, so they're gonna cooperate and they will feel comfortable. I don't like to the goatee grab, when they grab a piece of chin hair and they move the doggy's head out, and because it just hurts. I know it works, but it hurts. That's why it works, and I don't want anything what hurts, because for once there are other alternatives and our friendship will suffer, and the doggy might stay there for once, but later down the road he's gonna use, or she's gonna use, even trickier and more strong discomfort signs, not like just moving away, but showing teeth, growling, and biting the tool or you. So keeping the friendship totally does work, and then it totally does worth it. So we talked about behind the ear, we just skip to the chin area, and that's the time when I brush the top of the head and join the cheeks and the under the ear area together and the behind the area together. Now that's the time when I take a break, and at least and come back to do the other side the same way, and I start with the back and then go with the side and back and the front legs, chest and chin, muzzle, cheeks, under the ear, here, the inner side of the ear, outer side of the ear, behind the ear, top of the head, and the tail. That's gonna be the last part. That I hold the tail this way, and I brush with the hair growth. After brushing, I like to use a comb, because that will help me find the tiniest mats which I may left in the coat. How I do that? With the comb, I start from the tip of the nose and I work towards the tip of the tail and the tip of the toes. So I hold the doggy's muzzle and I start with the muzzle area, the cheeks, under the ear, the chin, and I go down the chest area and front legs, inner side, outer side, feet, all over, under the ears, behind the ears, inner side of the ears, outer side of the ears, and I go top of the head, and I go all over the back and go down on the sides, also on the ribs, harness area, belly thigh flap. Make sure that you are checking that. Outer side of the legs, butt area, inner side of the leg, and the front side of the leg. And I turn the doggy around, same thing, muzzle, cheeks, neck, chest area, under the ears, top of the head, side of the head, outer side of the ear, inner side of the ear, whoops, under the ear, behind the ear, back side of the neck, side, back, hind leg, all around, and inner side if you want to, but with the comb I usually do on the inner side on the same leg what I'm working on from the outside, not working across as with the other one. It's easier with the comb, I think. And the butt area, and all around on the leg. And the tail is the last one. I do it in a way that hold the bony part, and just making sure the two sides are covered. The underside needs to be covered as well, and also the top of the tail and the edges. So that's it. Would you thought that there is so much thing just the workflow of the brushing and how you keep your doggy comfortable for it? Okay, now then you saw that that's my workflow, the optimal thing, that's the ideal for me. You can decide for yourself, but I like to switch between body parts in case the dog is showing sensitivity signs because they are not comfortable with me around their butts, because this is our first appointment, or because they recently got bitten by a dog and the wound is still healing around there, and they need a little bit more trust built up that, hey, I'm gonna be able to take care of that as well, even that you have a little scab around there or two. So feel free to switch around the body spots. Just make sure you're following that you're working from the on less hair at a time, and from the tip of the hair towards the skin, and to make sure that you are using the right equipment and all the precautions and basically everything what we are talking about. So you don't have to follow these steps in this order. You can go your own custom way, whatever your doodle likes. And you need to take breaks. Breaks are critical. So even I'm craving for one by now. I bet you do too. So take breaks. In case your dog is getting frustrated or you are sensing that you are getting frustrated, put the brush down, let your doggy go, and enjoy life. Because after all, what's all this in case your dog is not happy about it? And what's all this in case you are not happy about it? So take breaks and come back to the topic later whenever both of you are recharged. And that's going to be the key. So everyone is going to be comfortable and they will cooperate. Cool. I'm glad you made it this far. I need to take a break. So see you soon.